When delving into the discourse of interpersonal relationships, an indispensable principle arises, the notion advocated by Stoic philosophy of who suffers, changes. This principle underscores the intrinsic power and responsibility of the individual, contrasting starkly with the conventional notion of attempting to alter one's partner to alleviate suffering. Many often fall into the misconception that the agony experienced within intimate relationships is inflicted by one's partner. Consequently, they endeavor to alleviate their own suffering by attempting to modify their partner. However, the truth remains that suffering is intrinsic, it's one's own perception, not directly caused by others. Therefore, the endeavor to alter one's partner to resolve personal anguish often proves futile. For instance, suppose your partner lacks ambition and drive. Despite this behavior causing you distress, it remains their own choice and conduct. Seeking to change them may not yield substantial results because they may not perceive their behavior as problematic. As long as they find contentment within themselves, they lack the impetus for change. Suppose you find yourself grappling with communication barriers with your partner, you might attribute the distress to their perceived lack of care or attentiveness towards your thoughts and feelings. However, this anguish stems from your own needs and expectations regarding communication, rather than directly from your partner. Attempting to resolve communication issues by changing your partner may yield temporary improvements, but the true remedy lies in mastering the art of expressing your needs and listening to their perspectives. Furthermore, if you experience distress because your partner fails to meet your emotional needs, such as showing care or companionship, although you may yearn for more affection and support from them, seeking to fulfill your emotional needs by altering your partner may not lead to lasting satisfaction. Their actions are their own choices, and they may have different ways of expressing emotions. These examples underscore once again that the source of distress in intimate relationships often originates internally rather than directly from others. Therefore, attempting to alleviate one's own suffering by changing the partner is often impractical. What's more crucial is to acknowledge and fulfill one's intrinsic needs. Therefore, Stoic philosophy reminds us to be mindful that suffering is our own perception, and resolving it requires an internal approach. Attempting to alleviate our own suffering by changing others will only lead to further exhaustion. Instead of focusing on trying to change our partners, it's more beneficial to concentrate on developing our own abilities, handling and resolving suffering through inner growth and self-improvement. Because only the individual themselves have the capability to change, not others. When we perceive that our partners have issues that require our assistance in healing, we often unconsciously place ourselves in a superior position and our partners in an inferior one. We might see ourselves as the savior, expecting our partners to heed our guidance. However, this attitude often triggers significant resistance from the other party because nobody likes being criticized or controlled. It's essential to realize that our partners may have been hurt by various factors such as their upbringing, relationships with caregivers, societal expectations, and personal experiences. If we attempt to heal their wounds, this behavior is actually a manifestation of narcissism. We are not their parents, nor can we become their saviors. What our partners need to do is to become their own parents, because once they grow up, parental help becomes ineffective, let alone ours. Therefore, in handling romantic relationships, we are essentially dealing with feelings and emotions. Often, we find ourselves striving to manage external appearances, behaviors, right and wrong, and conflicts between both parties without addressing our own feelings and emotions. Such an approach only leads to further rupture in the relationship. Thus, we should pay more attention to our internal feelings and emotions rather than attempting to control or rescue our partners. Only through understanding and respecting each other's feelings and emotions can we establish healthy, balanced romantic relationships. During the process of two individuals coming together, rarely do we encounter pure and unadulterated combinations. Both parties bring their life experiences, including upbringing, personal experiences, and traumatic events. Their backgrounds, values, cognitive systems, and even tastes may vastly differ. However, when they form a household, there often arises a psychological phenomenon known as power consciousness. Power consciousness, or the desire for dominance, is a strong urge demanding the reclamation of one's rights, ensuring one does not come out on the losing end or suffer in the relationship. This consciousness may stem from one's subconscious and the influences of family upbringing. Consequently, in family dynamics, one party may attempt to dominate the other, controlling them to assert their correctness. However, when both parties possess this power consciousness, conflicts in the relationship often escalate, and communication becomes a mere tool to gather evidence to prove one's superiority, with the ultimate goal being to defeat the other. To mitigate such conflicts, unless a miracle occurs, the principle of who suffers, changes remains the sole pathway to resolution. Hence, we often find ourselves unable to heal our partners but can only seek healing for ourselves. To establish healthy, balanced relationships, it is crucial to be aware of our own feelings and needs, rather than attempting to control or change our partners. By healing ourselves, we can bring more equilibrium and harmony into the relationship. When your partner lacks the willingness or readiness to change, forcing them to change typically encounters significant hurdles. In such circumstances, there are only three things we can do. Firstly, lower our expectations of our partners. We must realize that expecting others to change is not always feasible. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the principles of internal control and acceptance of fate. Therefore, we should lower our expectations of our partner's changes and instead focus on our own growth and development. We can transform these expectations into self-expectations, aiming to continually grow, maintain health, attain inner peace, and recognize our relationship patterns to learn from and improve upon them, thereby nurturing and enriching our inner world. Secondly, establish boundaries. Establishing boundaries is a crucial principle in Stoic philosophy. Stoicism advocates for individuals to maintain internal independence and autonomy, unaffected by external factors. Therefore, we need to learn to distinguish between our own affairs and those of others, recognizing things beyond our control. When faced with emotional disturbances from our partners, we should maintain inner balance and independence, unaffected by external emotions, but rather handle issues rationally and calmly. Thirdly, preserve our sense of worth. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the importance of individuals' intrinsic value and self-growth. In intimate relationships, we often face negative evaluations or devaluations from our partners, diminishing our sense of self-worth. However, Stoic philosophy tells us that love does not mean compensating for each other but enriching the relationship through self-growth. Therefore, the key lies in taking responsibility for our own growth and healing, rather than meeting the needs of others. We should prioritize our intrinsic sense of worth, elevate it through self-growth, and thereby establish healthy, balanced intimate relationships. In conclusion, our change is not to satisfy others, but to alleviate our own suffering. Only through self-growth and healing can we establish healthy, balanced relationships. When applying Stoic philosophy to examine changes in intimate relationships, we can discern certain signs preceding the deterioration of the relationship. Similar to the 4 stages theory proposed by the renowned psychologist Adler regarding the deterioration of children's behavior, this theory also applies to changes in intimate relationships. The first stage is seeking attention. According to Stoic philosophy, individuals inherently crave attention and recognition from others. If one person in an intimate relationship fails to receive adequate attention for a prolonged period, they may exhibit mischievous behavior akin to that of a child, attempting to attract the partner's attention. This behavior reflects their inner emptiness and longing, hoping to gain the partner's attention and care through this means. The second stage is power struggle. Next, let's examine the stage of power struggle. Stoic philosophy emphasizes the principles of internal control and acceptance of fate, suggesting that individuals should learn to accept and adapt to changes in the external environment. However, when a person feels they are not receiving enough attention and respect, they may begin to struggle with the partner, refusing to fulfill their requests and attempting to challenge their authority. This behavior reflects their pursuit of inner strength, attempting to gain their dignity and respect through power struggles with the partner. The third stage is retaliation. In this stage, a person may consciously do things to make the partner uncomfortable as a form of retaliation for the partner's previous neglect or harm. Stoic philosophy teaches us that individuals should learn to transcend their emotions and desires, facing life's challenges with rationality and calmness. However, when emotionally hurt, people often spiral into the vortex of emotions, attempting to balance their inner world through retaliation. The fourth stage is abandonment. Finally, let's discuss the stage of abandonment. When the relationship has reached the stage of retaliation, both parties may feel exhausted and hopeless, ultimately choosing to abandon each other, no longer having needs or demands. The occurrence of these stages may indicate problems in the relationship, which, if not addressed and resolved by both parties, could lead to its rupture. Therefore, recognizing these signs early on and taking appropriate measures to improve the relationship is crucial. Greetings. The deteriorating stages of marriage can be summarized as follows. First stage, creating minor troubles to attract the partner's attention. Second stage, power struggles, refusing to fulfill the partner's demands, attempting to seize control. Third stage, retaliation, intentionally causing discomfort to the partner in response to previous neglect or harm. Fourth stage, abandonment, where both parties cease to care for each other, having no more needs or demands, living together yet growing distant. If a marriage has reached the third stage, the solution is quite simple: return to the starting point and refocus on the partner. As long as the partner receives attention and inner satisfaction, there is hope for saving the marriage. However, sometimes, a person's inner emptiness may prevent them from giving attention. In such cases, one must first fill their own inner void before genuinely caring for others. Lastly, whoever has emotions bears responsibility, whoever has issues grows, and whoever suffers changes. Awareness marks the beginning of learning, and observation is the beginning of adjustment. Learning more about psychology and paying attention to one's inner world can help improve personal and marital relationships. Thank you for your support of my channel. I hope this content is helpful to everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time.